इस वक्त मीडिया ब्रीफिंग दे रहे हैं, आइए आपको सीधे लिए चलते हैं।
Prime Minister and the PMO, this would not have been possible without the cognizance of the Honorable Prime Minister. But as all of us know, Prime Minister is known to have the capacity to break many taboos of the past. In fact, this government has also done away with as many as 1,600 rules in the past. And I have been a witness to that because I also deal with the DOPT. And so this is also in the same spirit that we are going ahead. And incidentally, this is also the time when the government is completing 11 years of its being in the office. And as India moves from a service-driven economy to an innovation-driven economy, we have no other option but to focus on innovation. And focusing on innovation is no longer only the business of the Science and Technology Ministry or the Science or the Ministry of Education. It's in fact the whole of government's concern, whole of nation's concern. And as the Honorable Prime Minister has always been emphasizing whole of government, whole of science, whole of nation approach, I think this is also in keeping with that. And therefore, this is imperative on those of us who are part of the government to allow as much freedom as possible to the young innovators to realize the flight of their ideas. Because when we are looking forward to play a global role, and now that we have moved over to the 4th economy from the 10th economy that we were 11 years back, and now hope to be in another 3 years rank 3 and then moving on, I think we'll have to follow the global strategies, global parameters, and our benchmarks have to be related to the global benchmarks, so we can no longer rest or take satisfaction on what others have done within domestically, and we have done better than that. So in order to do that, we also need to make sure that within the framework given to us, with exercising all the integrity at our command, we try to give as much freedom as possible for the innovation to grow. And you must have realized the intent of this government over the last 10 years, some of the most unexpected decisions taken which were not even demanded for, like for example opening the space to the private sector, and also this year the announcement to open the nuclear sector. Now these are two departments which had reconciled to function with behind a wheel of secrecy. There was no demand, and those working in these departments were reconciled that this was the way how it should be. The nation and the society also felt that, look, these are the departments, they have to function like that. But when it was realized that to move on from where we were, we could not wholly depend on the government sources and resources, Prime Minister Modi allowed us to open up to the private sector. And the results have been miraculous. If you take even the example of space, we were just a minimal economy till about 4 or 5 years back. Today we are $8 billion, and the pace of its ascent is so fast that the next 8-10 years we hope to grow 5 times more to $45 billion, which means that in the years to come, space economy of India is going to be a very important component of India's growth story. So also we are also proceeding in the nuclear sector, and of course the biotech sector led by Dr. Rajesh Gokhale. I don't think before this government came in there was ever any importance given to this department, and hardly even anybody knew who was the Secretary of the Department of Biotechnology. And this was a contradiction considering the fact that all across the world the economists of the view that the next industrial revolution is going to be biotech driven, like the last one which was IT driven. And there's going to be a shift of economy, a paradigm shift from manufacturing sector to the regeneration cycles, to the recycling cycles, to the gene driven cycles. And with somebody like Pallav Bagla being there, he would be happy to know that the Axiom mission has a whole lot of component driven by Dr. Gokhale's department. The kits have been provided to Shivanshu Shukla to carry out exclusive experiments in this space which were never done before. And in fact, we are one of the first departments across the world which has entered into a formal MOU with the Department of Space, realizing that very soon we'll have an exclusive domain called space biology. And I was telling him in lighter vein that very soon we'll also have a specialty of space medicine to take care of the astronauts who go up there or who are lodged there in the International Space Station. So all these plant-related experiments and also experiments related to human physiology, the muscle regeneration, etc., which are going to be conducted by Shivanshu. have been catered to by the Department of Biotechnology, so that gives me an opportunity. What I'm trying to say is that we are now on a very futuristic course, and therefore I'm glad that this could have happened only under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, when it was pointed out that some of the general financial rules were proving to be an impediment. It was his nod, because otherwise the general mood and the approach in the government sector, in the government circles, is to remain status quoist, to play safe. If you move the file, write, discuss and move down the file, you don't have anything to worry. But if you write a note taking a decisive view, you always feel and keep asking yourself whether it was right or not. So I'm glad that we did not get imprisoned in that traditional mode of working. And of course, as this government has tried to introduce a new work culture. So what these new provisions are, they are actually, they are flexible, they are enabling, they are efficient. Now, we never had a dearth of human resource in our scientific endeavors. I always keep talking of those pictures of Sarabhai carrying some of his saman on the bicycle, which means even that time we never had a dearth of, even in nuclear medicine. Homi Bhabha was at that time one of the world-renowned nuclear scientists, held back because of quirk of fate. He was here on a holiday. The World War broke, he couldn't go back, and he took up the task over here. But what we lacked was an enabling milieu, which is to be provided by the policymakers, which is to be provided by the political dispensation. Right from day one, as was being mentioned in the declaration of intent made by Prime Minister Modi in 2015, and PSA was quoting that, the intent was to provide that enabling value as far as possible and to try to go as far. So this is in keeping with that. This is another enabling provision or enabling decision taken by the government, and therefore it deserves to be propagated as wide and far as possible. Because as I said, if you have to move on, we have to give up some of the outdated procedures. We also have to do away with red tapeism, and also, which is not often said very politely, the cumbersome approvals for which sometimes the government sector becomes notorious. So we have tried to do away with that, and these provisions will benefit the entire ecosystem of research, innovation and education, not alone these 2-3 departments which you see on the podium today. And this is also to my mind.
तो आप ये लाइव देख रहे थे नई दिल्ली के मीडिया सेंटर से, जहां केंद्रीय मंत्री जितेंद्र सिंह साइंटिस्टों द्वारा ईज ऑफ रिसर्च के लिए किए जा रहे प्रावधानों पर प्रेस वार्ता कर रहे थे। और